Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. How's everyone? My name is Ryan Banks. I am the Director of Behavioral Health for Rappahannock Rapidan Community Services. I would like to thank everyone for joining us this evening. We'd like to thank our two board members who are here in attendance, Chuck Stein and Richard Brooking. And thank you. And we have multiple collaborators who helped make this evening possible, but specifically, I would like to thank Genoa Telepsychiatry for their sponsorship of our food this evening, and a huge thank you to John from Culpeper Media for handling all of our audiovisual needs online and in person tonight. This has been an event that I've envisioned for at least 5 years. I'd hoped that we would have the ability to have a much larger attendance, but in some ways we do, with our virtual option that has up to 500 people who are able to watch online. I don't believe we have that many. You can relax. This event is primarily meant to bring community awareness and reduce stigma around mental health and substance use. The first thing that we were going to do is view a short film that features Boxwood's own program manager, Kalapo Olarende. It highlights some of the hidden struggles that came out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now we will watch Unhoused, a short film by Propping Up Recovery. Able to see the messages behind people's stories. We would have had Kalapo here this evening in person. His agent said he was unavailable for a late evening appearance. Also, his green room writer requirements were quite stupendous. Who only eats yellow Starbursts? We hope Kalapo doesn't forget about us when he makes his big Hollywood debut someday. And now for the main event, what everyone is here for. We will have an amazing comedy show by amazing people who have worked very hard. As an addition to our program this evening, Kimberly Lovell will be performing after Erica. Stand Up for Mental Health is a program that teaches stand-up comedy to people with mental health issues as a way of building self-esteem and fighting public stigma. People with mental health issues are always being told what they can't do. In this show, you'll see what they can do. Stand Up for Mental Health has programs across Canada, the US, and Australia, and was featured in the Voice award-winning documentary, Cracking Up. And now let me introduce the founder of the program. David Brunirer. David Brunirer is both a counselor and a stand-up comic. He discovered personal growth at 18 and made it his life's goal to, by age 50, move out of his parents' basement. His favorite pastime is listening spellbound to self-hypnosis tapes in his car, which explains why no one will sell him auto insurance. His counseling business is going so well that last year he came dangerously close to quitting his job at 7-Eleven. He is the recipient of a Champion of Mental Health Award. These national awards recognize individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of mental health in Canada. He also received a Life Unlimited Award from the Depression Bipolar Support Alliance. The award honors individuals who exemplify a life unlimited by depression or bipolar disorder, actively working to help others do the same. And he received an Award of Excellence from the National Council of Behavioral Health and a Meritorious Service Medal from the Governor General of Canada for his work using comedy to destigmatize mental illness. David was also recognized as one of the 150 Canadian difference makers in mental health. He is here to be your host and MC for Stand Up for Mental Health. Please welcome David Brunirer.
Hey, thank you, folks. Oh, it's so great. I was actually supposed to be here in person, but of course, COVID got in the way. And I mean, COVID has changed everything. My son is actually home from university, taking all his courses online. And yesterday he's like, Dad, today I researched iambic pentameter of the late Middle Ages. And I'm like, how about you research how not to live in your parents' basement till you're 30? And by the way, John, I need to, I can't see the audience and I can't hear the audience. So can you please, yes, that's better. And if you can turn up the audience volume, and hey, you're going to see 8 comics. Let's have a round of applause for all the comics we're going to hear tonight. Yeah, a little bit more volume, John. If you can give me some more audience volume, it would be nice to hear the clapping. So then I don't have to hallucinate the laughs. I can actually hear them, so that would be really nice. And also a hand for Ryan for pronouncing my name correctly. Let's give it up for Ryan. Yeah, once again, a little bit more volume, please, John. That would be really appreciated. So yeah, and I'm from Canada. Like I said, I was supposed to be here. And people ask, what's the Canadian psyche like? And let me explain to you about Canadians. So the other day, I heard that ISIS, the Islamic, whatever it is, were going to kill citizens of the US, Britain, France, Germany, Australia, and Canada. And as a Canadian, I'm just glad to be included. And, you folks are amazing. Every time there's a military intervention, you folks send planes and bombers and cruise missiles. And then you turn to Canada and you go like, well, Canada, what are you going to send? And like, we're like, I don't know, we could send the kayak. We'd send the Air Force, but he's on vacation. But like I say, COVID has changed everything. And I just heard about this thing. This is so cool. They're called green burials. And I love this. I now have 2 guys in my compost pile. Yeah, my rhododendrons have never looked better. And the great thing is that the neighbors are buying it. So now I've recouped all the money that it cost to pay for and that's what I was going to tell you. So the other day, we had our hot water heater die. And so the plumber came in and I was running a Zoom class and people are like, what's that sound? And I'm like, that's the sound of my bank account being drained. Yeah, John, I still need a little bit more. If you can give me a little bit more audience volume, that would be awesome. Like I say, I'm just doing my best to hallucinate everything right now, but I'm on my meds. So it's hard to hallucinate when you're on your medication. But yeah, so like I say, I'm so thrilled to be here, and we have 8 comics, and they're all hilarious. We've all been working really, really, really hard for the last 12 weeks. And let me just talk a little bit. So I have bipolar and depression. And I found this great way of overcoming depression. Whenever I'm depressed or bummed out, I go find someone who's really happy and I suck the life force out of them. Thank you. I learned that from my parents. It's very effective. Someone's applauding. Do we have the same parents? But you have to look at the positive side. You have to look at what's good. My father recently passed away, and he was a true eccentric. He was a math professor, and he believed that shoe sizes were a scam perpetrated by the shoe companies. So he could understand numbers like the square root of 1.2 billion, but not the difference between a size 5 and a size 10. And he could also find numbers like 1 trillion to the power of a billion, but not row 19, seat 12 when we took him to the football game. And as he was aging, my mom is like, well, we should get him a nurse. Let's get him someone from a Jewish agency so she can talk Hebrew to him. And I'm like, are you kidding? We'll end up getting some Israeli army nurse. What do you mean he fell down? Tell him to get up. And I want 150 push-ups and sit-ups. Ah, you weaklings. In Israel, my father did push-ups and sit-ups even after he was dead. And in the war, he had his head blown off and he still defeated half the Egyptian army. Oh, what now, a heart attack? Oi, can't you see I'm having my coffee and cigarettes? But like I say, I have a mental illness. and I take medication. And the medication I'm on makes my hands shake, but it's not all bad. Last week, our blender broke down. But it's interesting because when when my wife asked me to do chores, the shaking always gets worse. And I thought that meant I would never have to do chores again. But she has found chores where it's good to have shaky hands. Yeah, thanks to these medications, I am now the LeBron James of toilet bowl cleaning. Oh, that's better. I almost heard that laugh. That's good. People are laughing. And let me also tell you, so like I say, they call us people with lived experience of a mental health diagnosis, but then they only say people with lived experience. It's like they're hoping that if they leave the words mental and diagnosis till the end, no one will know that we're talking about mental illness. And they've succeeded. Now people don't know what we're talking about at all. And I take, like I say, I take tons of medications, and I've taken so many medications. I am now taking medications that I've already taken. It's like watching episodes of Games of Thrones and thinking this did not end well, but the producers assure me that if I watch the same episode again, it will have a different outcome. And they're right. Because now I watch the same episode and I just think it had a different ending because I'm so sedated, I can't tell the difference. But like I say, I've been on tons of medications, and I'm tired of, I don't care if they work anymore. I just want the ones with the coolest names. And they all have X's in them, like Paxil, Fluvox, Trintellix. I can just see the pharmacy companies, the researchers are like, forget it. We're just going to stuff these capsules full of baking soda, and we'll let the marketing guy come up with a cool name. So the next day, the CEO is like, we'd like to introduce our new drug, Exit, Exit, X, followed by our next medication, Exit, 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 X. But I've also had my substance abuse problems, and they used to call it substance abuse, but they decided that was too negative. So now they call it substance misuse, but that just sounds like you're not doing it right. And I also, to cope with my depression and my bipolar, I used to do a lot of LSD in the 70s when it was mandatory. And I remember once I was high on LSD and I was looking at the mountains and I saw all the trees jumping into the water. And I think, oh, no. This can't be happening. This isn't real. They're not wearing their bathing suits. But they are wearing their trunks. Hey, come on. I went out on a limb for that joke. All right, folks. I want to start bringing up your comics. Are you ready for your comics? Can we have a big round of applause? Like super huge, go nuts, big round of applause, because these folks have been working so hard and it's their first time ever and they're going to kill it. So are you ready for your first comic? By a round of applause. Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, let's give the folks zooming in, the Zoomland people, a big round of applause. Thank you, folks, for zooming in. We really appreciate it. There are 73 of them, which is awesome. So your first comic, she just passed her exam. She is now a certified peer recovery specialist. Please give it up for Jeanette Nord.
So yes, I became peer recovery specialist several months ago. And when I found out I got the job, the first thing I said was, finally, I get paid to be a fruitcake. Unfortunately, we lots of bucks. And I really think there should be a Miss Virginia fruitcake pageant. The personality portion of the contest would have questions like, how many times have you run down the street naked thinking you do it well? How many ERs do you know by name? How many drugs are you taking? And would you like more? The talent portion would have something like best grandiose illusions. I once thought I was the president of the US, just like the one we got. now, my husband plays nail to the Jeep whenever I walk in the front door. The people in the stove around laughs. Better not be fake. So a few years back, I had a nervous breakdown at work, and I had to endure it during a televised planning commission meeting. They were talking about development zoning cases. And there I was, bawling my eyes out through the whole thing. I cried when a guy wanted to build a playground in his neighborhood, and that would have been fine, but there were no kids in the neighborhood. The next guy wanted a pool. I just cried because I knew the guy could not swim. And of course, I remember thinking, is this a planning commission meeting or is this an audition for the young and the restless? I think it was both. I would have gotten it too. I had a bit of a tough time this past September. I lost my wallet, and my husband's and my cars were both in accidents. So when we walked into the body shop, the owner looked at us and said, "Oh, you want the family plan." And of course, I got a rental. Maybe somebody can run into that too. Or maybe I'll get abducted by aliens and they can give me a new car and a new wallet and my husband a new car. Or knowing my luck, the spaceship would probably get T-boned by a Big Mac truck or something. So I kind of think, I kind of think my husband is an alien because he cleans and cooks. Anything I cook, trust me, it turns into leather and rubber, including lettuce. And if he ever got abducted by aliens, I can hear it now. So what does the female of your species do? We've been together for 17 years, and thank God, yep. And thank God that man tolerates me because the rose fell off this petal long ago. Now I'm a big old chrysanthemum. Unfortunately, he came home with a bunch of pesticides last night and seems to think that Roundup is romantic. Oops, I'm getting there. So my mental illness is like a badge I kind of wear like on a Girl Scout sash, along with my rosary. Seriously, I was once on a flight with that rosary wrapped around a stuffed animal, praying to God not to die alone. And the plane was loaded. That prayer would have been answered. Which tells you that I was born and raised Roman Catholic, which means I was raised in guilt. I apologize for everything. I'm sorry you had a bad day. I'm sorry you were in an accident. I'm sorry I sent you those naked pictures of myself. But I really thought you liked chrysanthemums. Thank you. I'm still not done. In the little town where I grew up, in the one block I was in, there were 5 churches in front. 5 bars in front, 3 churches in the back. Every denomination in town had Sunday service, but you can bet they got drunk the night before. That is what I call good city planning. So as he said, I did pass the certification exam, and I am a certified peer recovery specialist. Thank you. And of course, this included taking practice exams, which would have multiple choice questions like, when a client tells you their story, should you A, roll your eyes, B, shrug your shoulders, or C, burst into tears and run away? I kept getting it wrong. I just sat there and burst into tears. And let me tell you, the longer I studied, the crazier I got. For instance, by the time I got to trying to remember SMART for self-management and recovery training, my brain decided it was actually sanity, massacre, and rotted thinking. So the program I work for has psychiatrists and clinicians, and peers are often the frontline people. So someone might come in one night and say, I have no idea what to do. I get that. I've been there. But aren't you the psychiatrist? But to get a little serious, there are days when I wake up and my bipolar wakes up right alongside me. But it's okay. I've got a plan in place where I can go to the nearest animal shelter to get a 3-cat starter kit to become a recluse.
Thank you for having me up here. I hope you have a great night. You're going to love the rest of everybody else.
Wow. Yes, give it up again for Jeanette Nord and the 3-cat starter kit. Jeanette will actually be selling 3-cat starter kits at the end of this show. All the money goes to RCSB. So you folks take a whole bunch of cats home. And by the way, by applause, who here is married or in a relationship? By applause. Wow, there's no enthusiasm for that. You mean no one here is in a relationship? No one's married. Even the married folks are pretending not to be married. Because I've been married for gosh, it's been 25 years. And my wife and I, we have 2 kids. And we decided that 2 kids was enough. So she wanted me to have a vasectomy, and I didn't want to have a vasectomy. So we had the chat, we sat down, we deliberated, we heard each other's points of view, we acknowledged our differences, and then we compromised, and I had a vasectomy. So folks, your next comic, she is a case manager and a devoted wife and mom, and you pretty much have to be a case manager to run a family. So give it up for Victoria Johnson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing tonight? For those of you that are viewing online virtually, we are having technical difficulties tonight with our camera equipment. I'm really a size 3. Guys, can we talk about anxiety? Thank you. I have anxiety, which means I was born worrying. I worry about everything. It affects every aspect of my life. Let me give you an example. Most of you, when you go to your doctor's appointment, it's to talk to the doctor, take some blood, get a regular checkup. When I go, it's to see how much longer I have to live. For example, I've had cancer since I was 9 years old. Never been diagnosed. No doctor has ever been able to locate it. But I know it's here somewhere because Google have confirmed it multiple times. I know my truth. My beautiful husband is here tonight to support. Yes. My husband has the patience of Job, and he needed. He knows if he's even 5 minutes late coming home from wherever he has been, I've started planning his funeral. I imagine all the many ways he has perished before he got home to me. And if he's more than 5 minutes late, I think about the top 5. But, ladies and gentlemen, sorry. I'm thinking about my husband and looking at him. But he knows I love him because every funeral I have planned over the last 34 years we've been together, they have gotten more and more elaborate. Hell, I even got Beyonce singing Amazing Grace at the next one. Yes, I love my husband. But I don't have to tell y'all how emotionally draining it is to plan a funeral for the one that you love. So much so that when he really go away from here, I probably end up putting his ass in a cardboard box and calling it a day. My beautiful sons are here also, Nathaniel and Devin, to support. They love their mom and all my crazy. I do feel bad for them though. They're 22 and 24-year-old grown men. I put low jacks on their cars, GPS systems on their phones, and I lie to them. I'm doing this for your safety. A mother's job is never done. But honestly, all the things that I have not done because of my anxiety, I missed. traveling, skiing, swimming lessons, you name it. But I said, ladies and gentlemen, once I had my children, I was not going to let my anxiety affect them. I say to them all the time, I want y'all to get on a plane and travel and see the world, go places, do things, swim, hike. I want them to do all of these things within the 15 to 20 mile radius of our home. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Yes. Give it up for Victoria Johnson. And by the way, if anyone needs a funeral planned after this show, you know who to go to. Victoria has a connection with Beyonce, so it'll be an awesome funeral that she plans. Oh, and also, if you bump into her kids and they're beyond a 10 or 15 mile radius, send those boys home, okay? Is that your boys with you, Victoria?
Yes, it is.
Hey, let's give them a round of applause. Thanks for coming, you guys. Yeah. Oh, and that's your husband. Oh, the guy who's hiding. Hey, hi, how you doing? No, you have lovely kids. And like I say, the low jack on their car, Victoria's gonna send out the GPS to everyone, so we'll all be able to track the boys. Yeah, I mean, this is a community, folks. We got to take care of each other. Anyhow, I am going to bring up your next comic. She has been a therapist for 5 years and a devoted mom to her brilliant 9-year-old son. Please give it up for Joy Onakogu.
Okay, guys, I'm a little nervous, but hey, y'all, how you doing? Being a therapist and a mom is crazy. Let me tell you about my relationship with my lovely son, Terry. Even though he's 9 years old, he is wise beyond his years, and he really knows how to get his needs met in a resourceful way. I don't even know how he does it. We always go to Target, which is my favorite store, and we always have a conversation about not asking me for anything. But each time he ends up walking out with something, and I end up paying for it, even though he has his own money. This happened just the other day, and this boy guilt tripped me in front of the cashier, so I had no choice but to give in. Then he had the nerve to celebrate and yell, "Yes!" in victory, and clenched his fists in victory. As a therapist, I know how important it is for kids to have, balance between playing with electronics and going outside for physical activity. This past summer, it was so hard for him to go to the park. He's like, "It's so hot." It's so hot. I'm ready to go home. But we're still in the living room and it's air conditioned. I love my son so much for so many reasons. He's brilliant. He's too smart for his own good. When I was 9 years old, I was just, playing video games. But last week, he finished his coding to create his own video game called Mama Got. Terry loves school and he excels in all of his classes. Just last week, he passed his 4th grade SOLs, and this week he finished his PhD. And now he's tutoring me. Terry even passed the test for his driver's license. Bad news is that he still needs to grow a few feet to touch the pedals. And the law says he still needs to be in a car seat in the back seat. As for my career, I've been a therapist for a while now. So of course I use my therapy skills in my personal life as well. But now my brilliant son has learned some of the same skills against me. He will make observations about me and ask, reflective questions about what he's seeing. So for example, he'll say, "Mom, I haven't seen your smile in such a while. Is there anything that you want to talk to me about? You want to process with me?" At times, he even uses these skills to his own advantage. When I told him he couldn't play video games or eat snacks all day, he threatened to call CPS on me for child neglect and malnutrition. Then he said, "Mom, do you really want to be the source of my childhood trauma?" Thanks, guys. That's all I got.
Yes, Joy Onakogu, way to go. Yes, yes. I can relate to having smart kids. My son, Jonathan, when he was in grade 4, they asked them to draw Christmas pictures. So all the other kids are drawing trees and presents and elves. My kid draws a picture of Santa getting busted for turning the North Pole into a crack lab. And so the teacher decided she wanted to have me and his mom in for a little chat. So we show up, and my wife immediately explains, Jonathan's dad is a stand-up comic, and Jonathan is just following in his dad's footsteps. And when the teacher said she didn't think that was very funny, my wife said, "Well, we didn't say Jonathan's dad was a good stand-up comic." Anyhow, folks, your next comic, we refer to him as that guy. Please welcome Mr. Sean Sawyer.
So bad, yo. I am not lying. This ain't part of the act. This is real life. That's too high. All right, hey, I'm Sean. I'm an alcoholic. Well, it all started at my 9th birthday when I didn't get my pony. It all went downhill from there. I've been sober now for 3 years. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's enough. That's stop. It helps to share my story, and this is a place that I can do that. I like to make people laugh. I like to, have a good time and whatnot. And I have no problems. These lights are bright. I have no problems making people feel uncomfortable. You can ask anybody that knows me. If I go to a social gathering or something where my people know me, they'll, "Sean, please don't talk so much. Don't stare at anybody. For God's sakes, don't flirt with your cousin." Were you there? Because you're laughing really hard. Like, we're not related, are we? Well, if we are, there's a chance. That was ad-libbed, y'all. I went to rehab once because my practice wife made me. For y'all that don't know what a practice wife is, it's a nicer way of saying ex-wife. I went to go see the doctor when I first got in there, and they asked me all kinds of those questions that y'all people that went before me know. And I gave him my answers, and the doctor said, "Oh, damn, you are effed up." And I'm looking at my Medicaid sheet because I'm like, "Oh, sir, where's that on my list? I don't see I don't see the F word on here." They put me on Depakote, and it turned me into a zombie. And the place I worked for, they really liked Sean being drugged up because I just, okay. So I was, Sean, go fix that car. Yeah, okay. Sean, go mow the lawn we don't have. Yeah, okay. Go work for free. What? No. All right. My boss liked me drugged up so much that he was like, here's a bottle of clozapam to see. I can't read. All right. It says it right there, but I don't know it. I don't know it. Take it every morning before work. Okay. Y'all were supposed to laugh, but that's cool. I've been in 6 accidents, car accidents. All of them drunk. Out of those 6, I got 4 DUIs. The other 2, I did what I like to call a DUI avoidance drill. Well, what the cops call it, fleeing the scene. At one point, I got pulled my last DUI. I got pulled over for dead tags. All right, I wasn't swerving or nothing. I just had dead tags. And the cop asked me if I had been drinking. Well, at the time, I was homeless, living in my car, so I had like 1,500 empty bottles and cans, and then I had a 40 in my hand, and I said, "Yep." Good. We laughed. After that DUI, I ended up in jail for about a year, and it was my 12-month timeout because that was a lot funnier in the. When I got out of jail, I got back to work as being a mechanic, and the cop that gave me said DUI. I work on his car. That's a joke. That's what. He lets me work on his car. That's crazy. But he's like, I need you to come for a ride with me. I said, shit. He said, no, man. I just got a noise in my car. Shotgun. I did. I got to ride up front. That was cool. I was like a little kid. My family, we all have some mental illness. Obviously, I have more than everyone else, and so yeah, we've got ADHD, we got bipolar, we got alcoholism, MS, cancer, everything. We're like the Kmart of mental illnesses. Now, Kmart is stupid. All right, it's like the dollar store. That's like the Dollar Tree of Walmart. I don't have anything against Dollar Tree. It just was. But why do they have shopping carts? There's no reason. No reason whatsoever. Quick question. Does anybody know if it's illegal to put popcorn kernels in a dead man's butt? Asking for a friend. I'm just. Okay. What? Now you wonder why people don't give me microphones. Who's that kid? You're grounded. Okay, can you get me? Hey, I need some new. I need a new Power Wheels. Get your mom to buy you a Power Wheel. So, I used to live in this really, really small house. I like to call them a little house, because little. It sounds cool. And I was at work, and everyone was talking about what their house smells like. Oh, I've got potpourri. I've got. It smells like whatever potpourri smells like. And they asked me, Sean, what does your house smell like? I said, well, mine smells like wood stove and loneliness. No one could find that at Walmart or Kmart. Like I said, I was homeless for a while. I did live in my 1997 Toyota Avalon. So many memories, but it's really hard to pick up the ladies. Let me just say, he knows, he's been there. He laughed. Because first off, one, you're homeless, so you look homeless, and you smell homeless, and they just don't want to come back to your car because that gets creepy. But I lived in front of Walmart because behind Walmart, them dudes are crazy. Them people are crazy. They are crazy. There's nothing more to other than they just crazy. I have nothing after that. They're crazy back people. They crazy. So I called Canada the other day. It has nothing to do with him. This is another Canadian person that was also as nice because Canada's cool. Didn't have an accent, kind of like that guy. He kind of has a weird accent, but this guy didn't have an accent. He kind of sounded like me. I had to get put on hold from what was at work. I had to put it on hold, and they had good music on the hold, like America music. It not like Canada music. I don't know if that's proper, but it made me feel like I was in America. So that's pretty good. Thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah, Mr. Sean Sawyer, that guy. All right. Yes, Canadians don't have accents. We just say again and about and out. But anyhow, your next comic. She has worked in mental health for over 12 years. She is a supported employment and education specialist for the YAC program, which is just a fancy way of saying she's trying to get her kids a job. She is also a devoted daughter, sister, and mother of 2 boys. Give it up for Erica Dinkins.
I'm short. Yeah, she's next. So good evening, everyone. So as you've heard, my name is Erica, and I am also the anxious, worrywart, and overthinker of this group. And also, while I have my cards in my hand, let me just mention that my brother was supposed to give me a pep talk earlier, and he told me that I better not get up here with flashcards. So you can take that devoted sister off of my introduction because I don't like him right now. So, normal people worry about stuff like being on time. I'm not on time. I was late today too. Or getting that promotion. Not me. I worry about being worried. Sorry, I'm flipping through my flashcards, just saying. You would think that working in the mental health field that I would have at least taught myself 1 or 2 coping skills or, strategies so I didn't worry so much, right? Y'all are supposed to say right. Wrong. My current coping skill is taking a nap, AKA go to sleep, also known as lay it on down. Now, let me say, I've been advised by several people that taking a nap is not actually a skill, but just ask those people that need melatonin. And if I sleep half the day, then I only have to worry about half the problems, right? Right? Nope, wrong again. When I wake up, I realize I have not solved 1 single problem. My kids have created 5 more problems, all while I was taking a nap. So at this point, as you know, I'm anxious, worried, and depressed now because who likes to clean up? And how did I get all these problems to go away, you ask? I went back to sleep. Remember 2020? Because I don't. Well, actually, now that I think about it, nobody probably remembers much about 2020 other than toilet paper and loneliness. So in addition to my anxiety and overthinking, I'm also a people pleaser. Talk about being dealt a BS hand. With that being said, I'm always worried that my overthinking will stress out my loved ones or let somebody down, like my kids, coworkers, family, my ex-husband. Psych, not my ex-husband. He's an ex for a reason. So, of course, he's old news. And so I did what any woman would do. I searched high and low, near and far for my next man. He is one of a kind. Took many miles and miles to find this man, let me tell you. He's also my neighbor. So, of course, with that being said, with any new relationship, you always want to impress the rest of their family and, especially the in-laws, and especially the mother-in-law. So I decided that I was going to spend $250 on this weight loss program just because she was a part of it. But basically all I did was pay $250 for anxiety with a side of stress. The diet restrictions are what I would consider cruel and unusual punishment. I couldn't have any condiments, wine, no wine or soda. So I'm just letting everybody here know, if you see me anywhere, as soon as I finish with this program, I'm celebrating with a ketchup and Coke colada with a hint of Chardonnay. And they had the nerve to tell me that I was only allowed one piece of bacon for each meal. So I saved up all my bacon points and I'm gonna put that in the cocktail too. Now, with all that being said, don't y'all think it would have been cheaper to get a new boyfriend? Just kidding. Especially if you're watching, I'm just kidding. I can never get rid of him. He is more than I could have ever asked for. That was for brownie points. So the other day I told him that I was stuck on my last joke and I was having just trouble like for hours, struggling. And so I called him and I said I needed help and he came right to my rescue. Ain't that a good man? He said, honey, just talk about how unlike your ex, when I mow the grass, no, unlike my ex, he does more than just mow the grass. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He said, I actually weed eat, pull the weeds, and trim your bushes. My bushes, he trims my bushes. He is so sweet. He's always checking on me, asking me how I feel. And of course, I always respond, I'm wonderful, darling. It's way too early in the relationship to dump all of my baggage on him. I'll wait until he buys a house, marries me, puts me on his life insurance, and then I will unleash the beast. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Yes, Erica Dinkins. Wow, wasn't that great? Yeah, and actually for anyone that's interested, she will be giving relationship advice after the show. So if you're having some problems in your relationship or you can't find a relationship, I don't know, Victoria, maybe your sons could use a little bit of her expertise. Just, but anyhow, and once again, the proceeds will be donated to RRSB. So it's a good cause. And who knows, you too might be able to date your neighbor. Anyhow, folks, let us keep the show going right along. Your next comic is a clinical supervisor and licensed therapist. She is the team leader. Please give it up for Kim Lovell.
The first thing is going to be work. The second is my son. And the third is divorce. So get ready. Okay. Hello. Happy to be here. Happy to enjoy this night with you guys. As David mentioned, I am a licensed therapist and I've been in the field for 10 years and I really love my job because it doesn't feel like work. I really like to spend time with people and get to know them and help them figure out their life problems. But the pandemic has definitely created some challenges along the way. I'm talking about virtual telehealth. So telehealth, if you don't know, is you're looking at your provider on a screen and you were probably at home. So just setting that one up. So many clients have shifted to telehealth and it has its positive and negatives. People are more comfortable at home. They're relaxed. I get to meet their friends and family and their pets. But where the issue was the attire. So I had to put some limitations on that. So I said, baggy t-shirts, that's fine. It's okay, you're comfortable. Shorts, that's fine. But where I had to draw the line was the bare naked chest, glistening with baby oil. Yeah, that really happened. I said, that's too close for comfort, even if we are 50 miles away. And folks, that's not a visual I want to go to sleep with at night, but unfortunately I did. These things get burned into your brain and you can't unsee what you saw. So I'm seeing it right now again. Be glad you weren't there. Last summer I had to invite this guy to put a shirt on. I know you wouldn't go to your doctor appointment without a shirt. Why would you do it to me? I said, I don't get any respect, but anywho, I said, Steven, for the last time, that's really not his name for confidentiality. I said, it's Steven, for the last time, you need to be somewhere where you have secure Wi-Fi. You need to not, wait, I lost that one. Secure Wi-Fi, be somewhere confidential, and don't show up looking like a half-naked rotisserie chicken. He did. When I'm not working, I'm with the littlest love of my life, which is my 2-year-old son. He's really beautiful on the inside and outside, and I'm really excited that I get to be his mom. But as many of you know who have raised a 2-year-old, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. More like other gross stuff that I'm not going to tell you about. But I'm not going to lie, he's cute, but he takes me to the edge of my sanity most days. And if he has one more meltdown about wanting to eat goldfish for breakfast, to wear jeans over his PJs, or to watch the same episode of Mickey Mouse Club, I might not make it. I might not make it. I almost didn't make it today. The other daily struggle we run to is dinner time. So imagine I've worked 8 hours and then I commute about an hour home and then I got to fight with him about trying to get him to eat a healthy dinner. All he wants is Gerber fruit snacks, puffs, and Gatorade. And it wouldn't be a problem if I hadn't eaten them all the way on the way home. I felt so bad I had to lie to him about where they were. I'm not proud of myself because I told him that the dog ate them all behind his back. And now he just keeps walking around the house shaming the dog for no reason. Like that dog. And I'm like, and the dog's like, what? They didn't do anything. Unfortunately, Levi and I are currently in transition because my husband and I have decided to get divorced after 7 years of marriage and 12 years together. I know it's sad, but true. Actually, it's not really that sad. It's actually pretty great. Not one of my family members or friends were surprised. More like relief, like thank God that you finally did that. Truthfully, it was a long time coming. It only took 11 years, 364 days for me to figure it out. Next time, I'm going to make sure it only takes 11 years, 363 days. The other night, I got more comfort from spooning a body pillow than I did from my soon-to-be ex. That's right, I got more comfort from spooning a pillow. I'm not really sure yet if that's pitiful or something to be proud of. Maybe I should have been better off getting a husband at Bed Bath & Beyond. At least I could have returned him if I didn't, if it wasn't meeting my needs. This fool just ended up costing me more money and I never got my money's worth. And if that ain't a royal ripoff, I don't know what is. Thank goodness for my therapy skills because I was able to compartmentalize really well. And I was still a really good wife to him, even though he drove me nuts and I couldn't stand to look at his face. He would tell you that I was a good wife. I made sure to fix breakfast and lunch and dinner for him. However, sometimes after I finished cooking, I would drop the sausage on the floor and let the dog lick it. But I had to stop doing that because one day he asked me why the sausage tastes like dog kibble. Yeah, it was a mess. You should have been there. But that's my time, guys. Thanks for letting me come up here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Kim Lovell. Yeah, someone put something really nice in the chat, said to Kim, you are destined for much better. Isn't that nice? Isn't that great? Yeah, isn't that nice? And actually, Kim's going to invite you all over for breakfast tomorrow. So yeah, she cooks these great sausages, I hear. And the dog likes to take part too. So it'll be an awesome breakfast. But your next comic, he is our superstar. Please give it up for Chase Anderson.
That's for sure. Okay. I've had a lot of different diagnoses over the years. First, someone told me that it was me on the spectrum, but then it wasn't. Then it was ADD, and then it wasn't. Then I was told it was schizophrenia, but then it wasn't. Finally, someone tells me it's borderline, but then it wasn't. So I think that my real diagnosis is something called wasn't. So if anything, it did teach me that the art of diagnosing is very fluid. It can be anything, it can be nothing. It could be a mix of a bunch of different things. So Edward Munch didn't paint the Scream, he painted someone getting re-diagnosed for the 30th time. But it didn't start easy either, because I'd hallucinate in school. I'd see a big shadow beast standing in the corner of the classroom, which really, I was at a disadvantage in school. Not because of the beast, but because it was algebra. But I'm glad Victoria's right in front of me just to be cracking. When I was real rough, I used to think that I was put into the world like a simulation to test it out. So I was on another plane and I was the pilot. Bad news was it was Spirit Airlines. By now, I've had 2 inpatient stays in psychiatric hospitals. The first one was rather short, and seeing as it was the child's unit, I was the oldest one there. So they'd be teaching elementary school, and I'm sitting in the corner because I was 17. I didn't stay very long. I probably aged out, but the second one, it was in the West Wing of a different place, which I think they should have called the Wild West Wing, especially seeing as the head psychiatrist had a sheriff's star and a couple of 6-shooters. But we were all hungry in that place one night. We all converged on the guy sitting at the desk watching us all, asking him, "Oh, you got bread back there? Yeah, can we get some of that? You got a packet of jam you can maybe squeeze onto it for us?" But sweet as he was, he brought us out some food, and we all just surround him like a flock of birds. Just, "You got some sunflower seeds too? You can scatter them on the ground for us." But it's not easy being in a psychiatric hospital, which I can say from experience. I don't know how many people here can, but let me tell you, as soon as a patient finds out how long their little stay is going to cost them, that's when we all start telling the staff, "Oh, I'm feeling so much better now." I promise you, because it turns out being broke can cure mental illness a lot faster. A lot faster than any antipsychotics or therapy can. So, okay, at one point, Okay. Everyone's favorite story. Once I got out, I got into a little coordinated care group, which of course the YAP program. It had a little Halloween get together for all the, this is always the fan favorite of the workers. Had a little Halloween get together. And of course, it was real scary there because we all came as ourselves. But if you think a haunted house is terrifying, try sitting in a room with a bunch of ill-adjusted young adults. So one of the clients there did have a crush on me. So I wouldn't call group therapy the best place to look for romance, but whatever works these days. I can't tell if it was lunacy or lust, but that is the basis of any Tinder relationship. So I should have started wearing a wedding band to group, but of course, any sign of me possibly seeming stable is like bait to some people. Because, you know, taking a shower every day, that makes me just a real catch. Stability is a very sought after trait these days. It absolutely is, but you know, if you're looking for stability, maybe you might want to get like an oak wood table, something easy for you to handle and take care of. Oh yeah, I can just see going out with someone from group, just, we have so much in common. We hallucinate at the same time. Our delusions are so similar. You think I'm not committed to you? I got out of bed to come here today. Like, but I mean, I see the appeal because I am a little famous. You guys may not know this, but I am the author of the DSM-5. That's right. They updated it just for me. You can look in it. It says Chase syndrome right in there. And you know there's something wrong when you get diagnosed with year 3 Chase syndrome. And they also had the Chase spectrum. I was at both ends. That's probably why they didn't call me Chase. They just kind of called me outlier. But oh yeah, but it's been a long road, and I think I've come well enough to the end of it, or come to the other side of the hill, because I've been pretty stable. I graduated therapy from the YAC program, and not to brag, but I only have 2 diagnoses now. That's right. I settled for major depressive and PTSD. So, but more than anything, I wish that I could see all of my doctor's notes from over the decade, because I know that I could probably produce a bestseller. So thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yes, and if anyone wants to be on the Chase spectrum, just talk to me. I'll be glad to diagnose you. And by the way, I know that Kim Lovell was a huge part of helping Chase. So let's give Kim a big hand. I know she made a huge difference. So folks, we have one last comic. She is an amazing person. She's 77. She is a nurse. She owns and runs a seniors facility. She is a playwright. She is a comic. She is busier than most 20-year-olds. She is Shirley Workman.
Over here. Yes, I saw you over there. Yep, you know, Betty Davis said something great. She said, old age ain't no place for sissies. And that sure is true. I don't know how it happened because I just graduated from high school yesterday. Of course, that was back in 1962. And, you know, I can't really say I've been depressed my entire life, but as you're getting older, you really have to start fighting depression, because I was used to stand in the line at the cash register, and there would be some old woman there counting her money, putting it back in her pocketbook. And I used to roll my eyes and think, I wish she would hurry up. I've got things to do and places to go. Well, now I am that old woman, because if I don't count my money and put it away, I'll never find it again. And then there's this young thing behind me that's rolling her eyes and sighing and wishing that old woman would hurry up. Well, I just step back and look at her, and I think about what she's going to look like in 50 years. You know, I used to could put on my tight jeans and boots, and I could strut in anywhere and knew I owned that room. Now I slink in on my belly, hoping nobody knows I showed up. But I went to the doctor. You know, you have to have regular checkups. And I went to the doctor, and when I got there, the nurse said, she's checking me in. She says, how tall are you? I said, 5'9". Well, she measured me. She said, 5'7". She said, how much do you weigh? I said, 185 pounds. Put me on the scales, said 250. Well, they put me in a room then, and the doctor comes in and he says, lady, your blood pressure is really up. I said, I reckon it is. I came in here, I was 5'9", weighed 185 pounds. Look where I am now. Time for my blood pressure to get up.
Well, I really think that I'm going to report my doctor for Medicare fraud. Because you know, good way.
Anytime they set the scales 30, 40 pounds heavier than they are, they're trying to cause you to have a heart attack, and they'll get more money, because I know I don't weigh that much. But then on the way home, I got to thinking, okay, if I really weighed 250 pounds, I could lose a whole person. There goes one of my split personalities.
I just have to decide which one I want to get rid of. Well, I went on a family vacation, still worried about my weight.
And my sister and my niece, they cooked and cooked and cooked. And I knew my job was to eat. And I ate and ate and ate. I ate stuff I liked, I ate stuff I didn't like. But I ate it all because I was doing my part to make the family vacation work.
Well, then I decided I would lose weight. So I took that last soda.
I want y'all to know I'm a 6-pack a day girl. Pepsis, you know. And so I took that Sunday, I took that Pepsi and I sipped on it all day long. I was like an alcohol knowing it was their last drink they go ever get. I still saved a can. What's left in it's flat, but you know, and since then I have lost 15 pounds giving up my Pepsi. So I will tell you, it's going to be a lot less of me to love next year, hopefully. So anyway, about that time, I got diagnosed with lip cancer, and I really do. I have to have surgery, and I go to the surgeon, and he says, well, you're going to have a really puffy lip. So I thought, okay, Angelina Jolie, here I come. Then I got to thinking, I wouldn't want to handle all of her children she's got, but I sure wouldn't mind a flip in the hay with Brad Pitt's. So, you know, life hasn't been all bad. I've been married a few times. I'm what they call a professional divorcee. My last husband, well, both of my husbands, I think they had some type of dementia because they went and got a girlfriend, forgot they had a wife at home. So it was something wrong with them. But that last husband of mine was a lot younger than I am. And I believe I chased him a lot before I got him. I believe I could still chase him. I could probably catch him because I'm in better shape than he is. But I don't know what I'd do with those 4 wives he had since me.
But then I thought, okay, I can just pack them up. Body bags. And then,
I have to go renew a driver's license. And they're asking me, do you want to donate your organs? I thought, for what? All of mine are worn out. But I do believe that Al Roker could use my knees because I can predict the weather better than he can with my two knees. And then, I had to get hearing aids. I did have COVID really seriously. At a serious moment, I was really sick with COVID. And the only thing I was left with was I lost a lot of my hearing. So I got hearing aids. Well, it was such a sad time. I thought the birds had quit singing because I didn't hear them. So with these $6,000 hearing aids, and I walk out of the office and the first thing I hear is the birds singing. Well, you know what? All I hear now is the birds singing. I sure wish I hadn't watched Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds, because I know those crows are coming to peck my eyes out any day now. But, I work with a lot of seniors, and they have all kinds of walkers. When you get my age, you're looking for canes, you're looking for walkers. They got walkers with racing stripes, cup holders, you name it, they got it. The other day at the senior center, I had all the people walking out with their walkers, and I kept hearing all this tooting like, and I thought, good gracious, they got backup. Really wasn't. They had ate beans the night before. That's all it was. So anyway, I do pray a lot. I really do. And life is really good. And I've told my children what I want on my headstone is the world was a better place because she walked through it. And for all of us, wherever we are in life, we need to make our world a better place. God bless. Good night.
Yes, another round of applause for Shirley Workman. And just before we leave, because we're at the end of our show, and just before we leave, I'd like to just leave you with a few thoughts. And John, it would be great if I could see the audience, because all I see is myself, and it's scaring me right now. So yeah, it would be really nice if I could see the audience. But I'll just keep talking because that's what I do. So I have a vision. Oh, there we are. I'm back, or you're back, or whatever. So I have a vision where we need to be as a society. And that is, people are working together in a workplace. Someone comes in one day and says, you know something? I have a headache, and it's no big deal. Everyone can handle it. People say, would you like a tea? Would you like an aspirin? Would you like to sit down? Someone needs to be able to go to that in exact same workplace and say, you know something, I'm right on the edge of a panic attack, or my voices are a bit loud. And it needs to be greeted exactly the same way. No big deal. Would you like a tea? Would you like an aspirin? Do you need to sit down for a while? And the gap between where we are as a society and where we need to be, inside of that gap is all the prejudice and the stigma and the discrimination that is around mental health, that we at Stand Up for Mental Health are trying to educate people about. When I was first hospitalized, it was the 70s. Nobody talked about mental illness back then, but the silence said it all. The silence said, this is a horrible thing. Don't ever talk about this to anyone. And when I left that hospital, I felt broken. I felt like I would never be whole again. I felt so ashamed of myself that I would literally see people that I knew coming down the street towards me, and I would run around the block to hide from them. I did not want to be seen. I felt I would say over and over in my head, I am nothing. I am nobody. I am invisible. And that's how I lived for almost 20 years. And that's the deal a lot of us with mental illnesses make with society. If you look at me, you'll know something's wrong. So I won't say anything. I won't do anything to rock the boat. I will just live in the background. And then I think what a difference it would have made in my life to see folks like you saw today get up and do stand-up comedy. I would have thought, wow, so this is proof that recovery is possible. These people have been through what I've been through, and look, just look what they can do. Even if stand-up comedy wasn't my thing, I would have thought, you know, if they can do this, I can do that next thing I need to do, get a job, go into treatment, go back to school. So we are on the web at standupformentalhealth.com. There are dozens of videos of comics that I've trained everywhere in North America, even into Australia. So it's a great place to go when you need some laughter, when you need some inspiration. If you know someone going through a difficult time, tell them. Say, go to this website, take a look at what's possible. If these folks can do it, so can you. So just a little bit of shameless self-promotion. This actually takes about an hour and a half, but I just thought I'd start now. I am available to train groups. And I was really hoping to come to Virginia myself to do this show. But like I said, because of COVID, here I am in Vancouver on Zoom. But I'm available to do shows. I speak at conference. I'm available to train people. I do bar mitzvahs, kids' birthday parties, weddings, whatever. And before we go, I would like to have all the comics back up on stage for another round of applause. So come on up, everyone, come on up and have a round of applause. All the comics come back up on stage. Yeah, everyone back on stage. Look at these awesome, great looking people. Let's have a big round of applause for all the comics you saw tonight. Yeah, and if someone can take some pictures, that would be awesome. Weren't they fabulous? Big round of applause. Thank you, guys. Right on, standing ovation. That's exactly what they deserve. Thank you very much. And folks, thank you so much for having me. Like I say, it would have been awesome to meet you folks in person, but enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you to the comics. Thank you to RRCSB, and thank you to Ryan Banks for making this happen. One more round of applause for everyone, and we'll see you later.
So I have to follow all of that. Right, sure. I'm Jim McGrath. I think I know most of everybody in the room. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting the comedians this evening. And again, I would be really remiss if we didn't acknowledge Ryan and Tammy and John and everybody who helped put this thing together. And these lights are really bright, aren't they? Wow. And, you know, I'll be very, very quick, I promise, and I will do no jokes. But, you know, I woke up very early this morning. And I know people who know me, I get up early. But today was a great day to get up early. If you didn't know, there was just a terrific lunar eclipse this morning. I literally sat outside from 4 o'clock this morning till 5:30 on my deck with a blanket bundled up and watched the entire eclipse. And it was a star. It was a beautiful night, right? And when I do that, it just gave me lots of time to think this morning about what we do as an agency and the needs of our community, and to try to come up with some thoughts in my head on how we can better support those people who need our services. And it gave me a lot of time to think about it. And as I was sitting there watching in the eclipse and thinking, the brightest shooting star I have ever seen in my life went overhead. It was like that moment, epiphany. It was kind of perfect this morning, right? And just seeing that shooting star gave me hope. And, you know, people who know me, well, it gave me hope that we would be successful. And people know me. Sometimes when I talk about hope, I have a little saying that hope is not a strategy, right? People have heard me say this before. We can't expect things to get better. We have to have a strategy. But I really think after this morning and sitting and thinking about this a little bit, I'm going to change my saying that, hope may not be a strategy, but hope is a fuel that we can use to make it through tough times. And so I just want to say to everyone tonight, you guys are the stars. Okay. I believe the courage that everyone showed this evening to perform will give others hope. Like the star this morning gave me hope. And that hope you give tonight to others will be the fuel that may help those other people get through their rough times. So thank you. I appreciate you guys were phenomenal. This was great. So have a great one. Thank you, everybody.